Do you foresee PixSeat to be used during the next Summer Olympics in LA in 2028?
We have we have started some discussions there. If we can, and I can't say it's going to happen yet, but if we can, I think we can redefine what it's like to go to the Olympics.
Welcome to the Pre-Zero Sports Talk podcast. Today I'm talking to Bryant and Rebecca Haines, the visionary minds behind PixSeat, a game-changing platform redefining fan engagement at live events. Yes, folks, you heard me. Fan engagement, but what does that really mean? Simply put it, how fans connect with the action beyond just watching is the energy in the stadium, the collective chants, the waves, and now with PixSeat, it's turning your phone onto an interactive part of the experience. Bryant, a tech innovator with a passion for sports, and Rebecca, a strategic leader driving operations, have turned the simple idea into something revolutionary. I'm your host, Sid Bensalah, and in this episode, we'll dive into real stories, challenges, and breakthroughs that brought PixSeat to life. Check the episode description for more details and ways to support the show. Let's get started. Bryant and Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having us, Sid. We're excited.
Bryant, take us back to the moment at the Alabama football game when the idea first came to you. What sparked this vision?
So I've been to so many Alabama football games I can't even count. Since I was a little kid, being named after Bryant, the former coach, I have to be at every game I can. I was at the game in 2016. Alabama was beating LSU solidly. It was a great game. My best friend was there with me. He's an LSU fan. And we were going back and forth to banter. And then there was a wave going around the stadium where everybody stands up and raises their hands. And it creates a great visual. It's fun. And sometimes, over the years, it seems like we try to see how many times we can get the wave to go around. Sometimes it goes around, 3 or 4 times. Sometimes it's 8 or 10 times, and it's always fun. And then it dies out. And I thought, there's got to be a way to make this more fun, more lasting, more engaging than just standing up and waving your hands. So I didn't have an answer immediately, but after thinking about it, the following weekend I was at my son's high school football game, and there were some fans on the other side that were holding up their phones with the flash on. I don't know if they were doing it for fun or whatever, but I thought, that's not it, but that's getting closer. So that evening, I had some friends come over to my house. I gave each of them a different picture to put on their screen, and they stand out in the road. And then we were able to create a wave of light and somewhat of an animation by just having them hold their phones. So I thought, this is it. We can create images across an audience by having everybody hold up their phone.
Nice. And Rebecca, what was your reaction when Bryant shared this idea with you? What made you believe in its potential?
Because I'd never heard anything like it before, I knew that this was going to be a game changer, and I knew that it was time to move fan engagement into the 20th century. Like, we need to do something technology-wise, because everyone has their phone, everyone's on their phone, and now is the time to do it.
Okay, and how did the pandemic delay affect your momentum, and what got you back on track?
Well, we were so excited at the beginning of 2020. We were talking with his son was going to help us. We had some plans laid out, and then the pandemic hit, and we knew that everything was going to be shut down, and sports were not going to be happening. Gatherings were not going to be happening. So, but that, it was disappointing because we were so excited, and we just put it on the back burner. And then a few years later, we decided, now is the time to relaunch and pour everything into it, because I think fans will want this and they'll enjoy it. But since we started launching, we learned about competitors that we didn't know existed. And so we're excited that they're actually there, because we can see that proves that fans want more engagement. They want more interaction. But they're doing something very different than what we are, which is great for them and great for us because we're unique.
And Sid, I gotta take a second to say, Rebecca's not taking enough credit here. Last August, we were talking about what's next on our venture list? What's next on our plan to change the world? Because we're always looking at having an impact. And she said, Bryant, we've got to do PixSeat. Now is the time to get started. What are the steps? And she dragged it out of me. She made me lay it out. We put together a plan that started with building our intellectual property. So within about a month, we had our full U.S. patent application done and submitted, and now we're patent pending.
Wow.
And it's because of her vision and her push to get us there that we're now on this track, and I'm so grateful to her for that.
That was quite fast. In a month, it's quite fast. It's almost unheard of. I think here in Europe it takes so much paperwork and so much hassle.
Yeah, it was about 200 hours of work that went into drafting the patent. Now, with the U.S. Patent Office, it takes several iterations. We've been back and forth with them, I think, 4 times now. But we are on track, and we've got one more submission, I think, to get to them for an additional, I think, change they asked for. But basically, it's just the process. It is what it is. But yeah, we got that first application done within a month.
And for those unfamiliar, how does PixSeat work? Can you just break down the tech in simple terms?
Sure. It's really simple. Every cell phone turns into a single pixel, and we create images across the audience by everybody who's participating holding up their phone, and your seat where you are defines what part of the image you are. So you might be a part of the logo or part of a text message or whatever it is we're displaying. And then the way it becomes more interactive and more fun is every time you participate in a PixScene, as we call them, you're earning rewards that gets you all kinds of merch and discounts on things and stuff like that. So by your phone being a single color, your screen being a single color, we can create as detailed of an image as we want, and we can animate those images to go around the stadium, just like what I envisioned with the wave going around at the Alabama game. We can create team logos or advertiser logos going around the stadium.
And during the development phase, what were the biggest technical hurdles that you had to overcome?
Well, we've got our MVP. We're still working on the next stages of our beta. But one of the biggest hurdles we've had to overcome is, and this is one that people frequently point out to us, is in a stadium with 50 to 100,000 people, everybody might have 5 bars, but nobody has any bandwidth. So the problem is getting the signal out to everybody is near impossible. We've resolved that with some simple things. I've been in AI and tech for about 25 years. Tech for 25, AI for about 13. So I looked at some things we've done in the past, and I said, we can pre-propagate the entire data packet to every user before they get to the event. And then the only part we have to send out when it's time to run a scene is just the initiator. So it's just a packet that says, this is the scene we're going to run, this is when it's going to start. 2 little bits of data.
Yeah, and how does AI and real-time data play a role in making this work seamlessly?
Well, I'll tell you, real-time data is important, but we're doing a bunch of things by preloading everything from preliminary stats to all of the scenes to everything about who you are and where you are prior to the event. Basically, we're just predicting what's going to happen, and then all we got to do is adapt to it. And we use AI to do a lot of that around your location, what you're doing, and what you're wanting to do next, and also what's happening on the field.
Yeah.
So one example of that is when we've got this is in a near-term release. When we've got 10,000 cameras pointing at the field, we're going to be stitching the content of those cameras together on our servers. And then if you're watching the game at home or on a phone through our system, you'll be able to see a 3D point of view for anywhere on the field because of those 10,000 perspectives stitched back together.
It's going to be incredible. An amazing experience.
Yeah, that's the whole idea, is to make it more fun. You know, right now, going to a major sporting event or a major music concert, the prices are going up and up and up on a regular basis. But the experience
especially in the US, by the way.
changed.
It's always a hot topic when it comes to a ticket price in the US.
Yeah, but the experience hasn't changed since the early games in Rome.
Yeah.
So we're changing that. We're making it so that there's more value when you arrive. When you arrive at the game, and then before the game, and then after the game. So we create all new level of experiences by delivering you, for example, real-time stats during the game, interaction with the game, and then also we're adding some functionality like ordering concessions directly to your seat without having to go get them. You can get exactly what you want delivered to you.
Well, helpful things like find the nearest bathroom, find the nearest exit. Anything that you need to help guide you through the stadium, that will be helpful as well.
Yeah, and for that we're using some AI that lets us analyze what's around you and where you are, and the what we call the convoy activity, where traffic is, where foot traffic is, so we can get you to the nearest exit that's least congested.
Yeah. You mentioned needing a large-scale user testing. What are the challenges in organizing that?
Yes, that's a huge challenge right now. Because we can't just set up a lab, and I mean we can do that. We can fabricate testing, but that does not give us the feedback from the user. So we need a large crowd to actually hold phones, use the phones, and interact with the app so that we can get that real-time feedback and all of the user experience that we need from them. So we're just having a few challenges. We've had some that were lined up and then they backed out, and for whatever reasons, timing wasn't right. But so far, we're working on some more schools that we're looking at because basically bringing in PixSeat increases the revenue instead of taking it away.
Right.
So we're much more attractive to venues than our competition.
Have you had any live demonstrations or small-scale tests?
Very small scale.
Yeah, we've had with a few people, less than a dozen people. We were able to run those tests and see that it works. We've got a stack of phones that we can test with, and those work. But to create the kind of visuals we're looking for, more than just a wave of light, but an icon or an animation, we need hundreds or thousands of people. So we're talking with one of the larger high schools here in the state of Tennessee. We're talking with a couple of major universities. We're also talking with some large churches, because those kind of events are perfect for what we're trying to do, and we're happy to provide that experience for them.
And what kind of, let's say, key takeaways from those small scale tests so far?
So here's an interesting one that blew my mind. When you've got a crowd of people holding up their devices, and let's say all of the devices are displaying the same color red. We've got Android and iOS devices of different models, so all of them are slightly different, but for the most part, it looks like a wave of red. But when we take a picture of it with a smartphone, it looks like drastically different colors, from red to orange to pink. So we're trying to figure out, is that an issue, first of all, that with a smartphone it doesn't look the same? Because when we were taking those pictures, we were 20 feet away. And also, is that problem going to replicate when we're in a large stadium? Short answer is those are issues that we're not going to have when we're in a stadium, because when you're a greater distance away, 100 yards away, it's not going to stand out at all. It'll still come across as the same color. But it was a striking insight that we didn't foresee.
And what's the next big test for PixSeat before the full-scale launch?
So we've got in addition to the demonstration tests where we're testing just to see what it looks like, some of the tests we're working on are, can we effectively propagate the signal across a crowd where there's little or no bandwidth, internet bandwidth. And so we've developed a unique capability to do that through something called Bluetooth Low Energy. It's not the same as Bluetooth. It doesn't require the same handshake that Bluetooth does, but basically using BLE, we're testing the ability to send out that tiny packet that says this is the scene we're running and this is where to start to everybody in a crowd without internet access. It's a challenge. We've got it working in some tests with about 15 people, but getting it to work in a massive crowd is going to be a whole different experience. So to put that in context, if we're in a stadium with 50,000 people using BLE, I think we believe we can get that signal out to everybody's going to participate in about 3 minutes. That sounds like an extremely long time, but if we're sending out that signal 10 minutes before the scene starts, it's not a problem at all.
Right. So we do have some venues that do not want to use the app. They are absolutely opposed to using an app. They want it to be browser-based, so that's something else that we've had to overcome as well, using a QR code or something like that to launch with. So.
Yeah.
More and more tech.
It is. It's always a fine balance between opting for an app or, there's no silver bullet. So, But then it will
Right.
evolve
You know, it's funny.
with the development, with the technology. Let's see, with the Web3 and beyond the G5 connection. Let's see how things will evolve. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, thinking about the tech challenges and what the experience needs to be. One of our testers came back last week and said, Brian, I don't want to have to sign in when I first download the app. I may not want to sign in at all. How can we get around that? So we went back and forth and we said, well, we can give you the experience of PixSeat without signing in, but then if you want the rewards, you have to sign in.
Absolutely.
So we're changing the system around that. And I think it makes it way
Absolutely.
better because people don't want to always give up their email
Absolutely.
address.
Yeah. We've seen stadiums' wristbands light up at concerts. How is PixSeat different?
That's a great question. We've seen both with two major brands, Bands and PixMob. Both of them use the wristbands that light up. And that's a really neat experience. At every seat when you get there, there's a wristband on your seat. You put it on, and they use infrared projectors all over the stadium to cause the waves of light, and in some cases even some level of imagery. It's low resolution, but they can do some. Where we differentiate is, A, you don't just put it on and it does what it's going to do without you. You have to fundamentally participate in the event. So there's a reward for that, and there's an immediate gratification. I got to be a part of that. It wasn't just it lit up on my wrist, but I was engaged. I got to be a part of the picture. In fact, if I can picture when you say, if you look at the where it says the university's name, I'm in the A right there in the middle, and then we'll be able to create scenes where in social experiences where you'll be able to point yourself out in the crowd.
Well, also there's no device left behind. So
Right.
a lot of times those wristbands end up in the trash, and that's a lot of waste that's not good for the earth. So
Another part of that is for the venue, which is all important. You know, whether it's a sporting event or a concert or a political event or whatever, the venues typically pay a large sum of money for participating with the wristband. So the fans in those cases, the price of the wristband is built into their ticket, but that makes it even more expensive. We turn that on its head, and because we're not adding any new hardware, everybody has a cell phone. There's no cost to the fan, and there's no cost to the venue. We actually are advertising driven, so the venue receives some of that revenue. We're a revenue sharing business model, so it makes them money rather than costing them money to have.
What feedback have you received so far from industry insiders about its potential?
I'll tell you what, without naming names, one of the biggest universities that we've talked to, they've said, we don't see how to avoid this. We want it here, and it's going to be industry-wide. They're trying to adapt to the need across the stadium for cell phones and for charging and all that kind of stuff, and for internet connectivity. But they've told us fan engagement is the critical component of next level sporting and music concert events.
and our contact in India as well is very excited about this because they have dealt with the competition. It's very expensive, and they've just not had the experience that the fans really want. And so they are very excited about PixSeat, anxiously awaiting the launch.
Yeah. And on that, Rebecca, are there competitors in this space?
Well, other than PixMob, and then we have Q Audio, and we have Crowdflow. We have a few, and some of them use the wristband. Some of them do use your phone, but they use it in a different way. So some of them it's just the light, and some of them have filters that that is a fun experience for the fans. It's just not the same as PixSeat.
Yeah. And how does PixSeat stand out?
Well, so one of the biggest things that makes PixSeat stand out is the experience before, during, and after the game. So before the game, we've got a tailgate mode. So when you show up at the venue, you're partying with your friends before the game. We've got games that help you participate prior to that. And then during the game, you're actually a part of the game. You're part of the experience. After the game, you've got the ability to go back and review and download and share and participate and even connect with people that you met there. So for the fans, it's a fundamentally different experience, as well as a chance to earn rewards with get some merchandise. So that's a big bonus, and none of that costs them money. And then for the venue, the biggest difference is instead of them paying hundreds of thousands of dollars per event to have this there, we're paying them for us to be there. So it's a big difference for them. And then for advertisers, our client at these events, The biggest difference for them is they get direct access to the user. So, for example, if there's a Coca-Cola ad on the jumbotron during the game, we'll simultaneously put a call to action in your hand. Right when you see it up there, you get the action here in your hand, and that action is, hey, for me, it might be custom to me, I want a free Coke. For Rebecca, it might be a discount on a 12-pack of Diet Coke. So it's customized access to the consumer based on the experience that they've had there at the game.
Well, and also the fans actually get to choose. We will have a few scenes that'll be, pre-selected, and they can actually choose which scene they want to be participating in and actually compete against each other. Different sections can have competitions. Whereas with the competition, our competition, they're very, not selective. They don't get to say. They don't have a choice. Where we give them a choice of what scenes they want to see and what do they want to participate in. So it's much more fan driven.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my head around, especially with the fan behavior, because it doesn't matter what kind of event. It could be entertainment, concert, a sports game, and the majority of the fans depend on the which generation, but the majority, they want to document their experience. They use social media platforms. I'm just trying to understand adding another kind of layer to their experience. Don't you think maybe we're gonna reach a point where the fan experience is gonna be overwhelming for individuals? Like pivoting from one platform to another, and maybe missing some vital moment from the action on the pitch or on stage or...
Sure. That's a really good point. So there are a couple of things that we do to deal with that. First of all, PixSeat is not something that the fan's going to be using throughout the entire experience. So in the course of a 4-hour football game or a 2-hour basketball game or a baseball game or a 2-hour music concert, in the course of that event, there might be a total of 10, 15 minutes complete across all the time of the game where you're actually using the PixSeat app. So we're not creating scenes during the entire game. We're creating scenes during commercial breaks and halftime and things like that, so that we're not interrupting what's happening on the field.
Well, and also the app will be something that they want, if they want to use it for stats or if they want to use it for ordering, that might be an additional time, but they're not going to be sitting there looking at their phone constantly on PixSeat app. They'll use it and then move on to back to the game. So it won't be something that they have to have their eyes glued to it constantly. It'll be brief, use their phone for the scene, and then they could put it away quickly. So I don't think it's going to be overwhelming, especially for the tech savvy youngsters. They know how to do much more than we do.
Thanks.
And they're early adopters.
Yeah.
They are. Thanks for the clarification. I just wanted the listeners to have a glimpse in terms of, because when we talk about that experience, it's very broad, and we're talking about, I don't want listeners to have this kind of perception that it's a new platform, it's another layer, and things like that. Yeah. And sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, if I can add to that. When we talk with people about what PixSeat's going to do for them, I think the number right now is right around 99% of people. They immediately get it and they say, "Oh, that's cool. I want to do that." The other 1%, I'm pretty sure, are flip phone users, and it's okay if they don't want to participate. They don't have to.
Yeah. Unlike traditional tech for stadiums, you're not charging venues. How does PixSeat make money?
Right. So at every major venue you go to, there's advertising everywhere. So we take advantage of that. We turn it from being advertising that you ignore because you see it everywhere to being something more personally engaging. So if you see an ad and you want to participate in that ad, you take a picture of that ad through the app. We immediately bring up the offer from that vendor. If there's a big ad going on during the game, we put that call to action in your hand. And then because we're engaging directly with the consumer and the advertisers are paying for that experience. They're the ones that are funding PixSeat being at the event. They're the ones that are funding the merchandise. They're the ones that are funding everything around our operations. So they've earned a pay there, but that changes the whole model of how we do fan engagement. We're delivering fans a better experience. They're delivering venues more fan engagement, which drives up their revenue, and we're delivering advertisers a more custom customer for them, so it's more valuable to them. So, for example, if you go to a college football game here in the U.S., a major advertiser will spend over $1 million per game, and it seems like a crazy amount of money, but it's true. We've reviewed some of those contract details. So when we see they're spending that kind of money and all they're getting out of it is, I think I saw that company's ad, and then we turn that into, we're going to make a football stadium look like it fills with ice and then fills with soda, and then another scene we're working on for an auto manufacturer. You're going to, right when you hear the sound of a loud truck going through the stadium in 3D. We're going to make the lights appear like the headlights are going around the stadium, and then tire tracks, and then we're going to show the logo across the stadium. So it's going to be a more interactive experience. It's more fun. It's more high tech than anybody's ever seen, and they actually get to participate. They're not just seeing it. It's not a boring ad they're seeing on the wall. They're a part of the ad.
Well, and advertisers will have metrics that they didn't have before, so they don't get to find out which eyes were on the jumbotron.
Yeah. How have advertisers responded to the concept so far?
So far, they've been very intrigued. One of the concerns we've heard is, what if my logo doesn't look great? And that's a real concern. So, and I'm not going to name an advertiser, but if an advertiser's logo, if we display that across the east and west sidelines of a pitch, and that logo doesn't look great, what we decided on is we're creating a scale for how much they pay for their ad. If it looks great and we can animate it around the audience because participation is above 70%, they're going to pay the full price for that. It might be several $100,000. If you can barely see it and it doesn't show up, they're not going to pay for it at all. So when we present advertisers a model that gives them the consumer, gives them the experience, and gives them the immediate return on investment, it's just a simple solution for them.
It's almost a no-brainer for the advertisers in terms of what kind of value this will add to them.
Right, and in fact, what I mentioned about is it going to show up well, separate from the mobile app, we've also got a desktop production app that the stadium will use. So they'll be able to real-time analyze how many users are in each section of the stadium, and they'll be able to run a demonstration, a virtualized demonstration, to see what that logo would look like, or what that scene would look like, immediately prior to sending out signal to run it. So they'll know this is going to show up well, or this is going to show up not so great, so we won't animate it.
Are you in position to share any potential partnership or sponsorship that are already interested? Or it's too
not
early?
Yet. It's too early for us to disclose that.
I understand.
I'll tell you that we've got the right advertisers engaged at this point, and the right business partners engaged at this point, and we're going to be making some announcements on that as soon as we can, but not yet.
Maybe in 12 months. I will invite you again in 12 months, and you can.
We'd love to. Yes.
Yeah.
I believe in 12 months from now, we will already have been in 3 to 5 major venues, and we will be the top of the town.
Fantastic. You're starting with student sections. Why is that the right move?
That's a tough one. So right now, fans have never heard of PixSeat. They don't know what it is. They don't know what it's about. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know why they would participate. So by us basically niching into the student section only, we can show up on scene at a university a week prior to the event. We can instruct these early adopters, these tech-savvy kids, about what's going to be happening at the game, get them excited about it, get them excited about the rewards that they're going to earn from participating. And then at the game, instead of relying on an audience of 50,000 where we've got to hope that they understand what we're doing, we're going to focus on that 5,000 to 10,000 person student section where we've already instructed them on what we're doing. They're fully aware, they're excited, and they're engaged. Now, when we do these first several launches, everybody around the world is going to be able to see it, and it's going to be high resolution and high saturation of participation. So it's the way for us to make our premiere that much more realistic, more relevant, and more high quality.
Well, and students are more enthusiastic, and generally they're very tech
Yeah, you're
savvy.
right. Yeah.
So they will automatically pick up on it.
And how do you plan to transition from small college events to major events to national stadiums?
Sure. So some challenges we've come across there. When we first approached a major university, we were really excited about working with them. Getting in the door was extremely difficult. And we found out that the reason getting in the door is so difficult is because the university doesn't manage their own marketing. In fact, out of all the universities in the United States, only a handful of them manage their own sports marketing. So there are 4 different companies that manage sports marketing for all universities in the United States. It's kind of crazy. That those 4 companies have somewhat close to a monopoly. So by engaging with the right one of those, we're able to manage that relationship, and that gets us in the door both at that university and over 100 other major schools. So it's a matter of the network effects you create by getting in with the right network of participants.
And in terms of partnership, or let's say adoption by you talking about the venues, the venue host, how about the promoters, the governing bodies?
Right. So I'll tell you, we're in terms of the promoters, we're in sort of a competition with them. So, for example, and the producers, all of those side, we're presenting a scene that's visible in the stadium, and they can record it and present it to their fans at home if they want. But we're competition for their commercials, for their commercial breaks. So they may or may not show us real time during the event. That's okay. You're competing with them in a sense, but we're also providing greater access to them. So right now, when you're watching an event from home and it's a commercial break, you might want to dish. You might want to just take a bathroom break or whatever. We're turning that around and saying, wait, you might want to stick around. You're going to see something here that you've never seen before. And if you're watching the game from home and you have the PixSeat app at home, you can participate in several of the same ways as people in the stadium. So we're changing the experience for them. And then as far as the governing bodies, both at the NCAA level here, college sports and pro sports, and then pro sports around the world. So, for example, with FIFA, we're working on building a relationship with them. We're not in the door yet. We've got a couple of experts there that are working on getting us in the door there. But when we can get into global football, soccer is what we call here, that's going to be a real significant advancement for us because that governing body will control our access to the global market.
Yeah. You mentioned that your solution, PixSeat, will be used in concerts, festivals, corporate events, political rallies, public gathering, and beyond. What's your ultimate vision for PixSeat beyond all these events?
So I'll tell you what, we're looking to change the way fans experience, the way people experience crowd engagement, the way we participate in social events. We're not looking at having everybody look at their phone. In fact, we have people turn their phone outward and share it with the world. So we're helping shift people from staring at the phone during a game to engaging with the people and the events around them. And I'll tell you also, in terms of our vision for making change, something we've learned, Rebecca and I both volunteer with a group called Rescue One Global that helps rescue women and children out of human trafficking. So when we learned about some of the things that are happening in human trafficking right now, something we learned was at these events where there are 50,000 people or more, nearly every single event there's 1 to 3 people that are kidnapped and trafficked. Usually the trafficking starts the same day they're kidnapped. So we're using some of the tech that we're developing on the back end of PixSeat so that we can help fight human trafficking. So for example, if I'm at the game and I report my 10-year-old daughter just went missing and upload a picture of her and a description of where I am, in the app, we'll be able to immediately send out a signal to what we call a net alert to everybody in the stadium and ask them to hold up their phone with the camera on. And we use that camera with AI facial recognition to identify the missing person across the crowd. So we don't even rely on people to know what the person looks like. All you gotta do is hold up your phone and participate, and we're going to find a missing person immediately.
Every second counts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a safety feature which will be embedded or integrated within the platform. Yeah,
Exactly,
fantastic.
exactly. And there are other teams that are building into it as well. Like if someone needs emergency assistance, you can call for it on the app, and then when we ask people to hold their phones, and we'll send flashing lights directing law enforcement or EMTs, medical support, directly to the location to help them get that assistance
Wow,
quicker.
that's really good. Absolutely amazing, because one of the main concern for right holders, event organizers, and stuff like that. I've been doing that for a couple of years, hosting major events, and our first concern is the safety of everyone. You know, yeah, that would be really, really fantastic. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I think if we can, in the course of a year, if PixSeat saves one child from being trafficked, that's worth all the investment we're making. That's worth all of the success in the world. And I think we can do more than one. I think we can save a lot of people at these events. There are some other, my work in my other life. Rebecca and I, we have a defense contracting company, so we do a lot of work in the defense intelligence community. But applying some of the things we know from there to here, I think there's a ton of opportunity to make these events safer and more secure, and make it more family safe at every event.
The number one criteria for a successful event is safety. That's the top priority.
Everybody goes home safe.
Absolutely,
yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You reach safe and you leave and you go you go back. Yeah, that's the main priority. And sadly, we don't talk a lot about. No one talks a lot about, because you want to go to an event to have a good time, you know, and things can turn south in a second. And yeah.
And actually, if we talked about it more, some people would say, well, I don't want to take my family to a large venue because of the risk. So we don't talk about it because we don't want to scare people
Yeah.
away. But the truth is, if we talk about it more, we can be more aware. We can be more proactive, and then we can prevent it.
Or the best case scenario, which is we all been there. I mean, especially with teenagers, they want to go with their friends to have a good time, and we parents, we try to cocoon them, you know, and we are worried, and we don't want to show our worry, and we ask all sort of. We bombard them with questions. We are still concerned until they come back, you know. So, yeah. I strongly believe that feature, if it will be embedded within the platform, it's a game changer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're working on a separate app that's also going to help in fighting human trafficking, but that's out of scope for this discussion. But the NAP alert that, as Tom mentioned, is going to be built into the app so that anybody that has the app has that full functionality. And in fact, the browser participants will also be able to participate in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. You raised initial funds through friends and family. What's the next step in securing investment?
So we did raise $100,000 through friends. We had 3 key investors that got us there, and that helped us develop our MVP. The next stage is we've got a whole lot more to build out, and we've got a lot of instructing and informing venues, fans, and advertisers about how this process works. So there's a lot of marketing and PR to go on there. So we've got to raise a ton of money, basically to get this into all the stadiums around the world that we want to get into. So we've just launched our seed round. The initial money was pre-seed, so we launched our seed round of fundraising. We were raising $3 million with a $2 million extension option, but that'll get us our next 24 months of development, production, and operations. And we've actually got some great meetings coming up this week with
Great.
Sid Bensalah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We are very excited. And the investors this is an interesting challenge. There are venture capitalists, there are friends and family investors. There's all kinds of different investment groups that we could work with. The challenge we are facing is we want to work with investors that align with our mission and our vision and our values, and have the passion in sports and entertainment and technology. that's three different sets of asks that we're looking for. And what we're finding is we really wouldn't want to work with investors that don't match all three of those for us. So it's a fun challenge, but it's a set of challenges that makes it so that we partner with the right group. We know we're on the right track.
Right.
And what would you say to,
Our values
sorry,
are-
go ahead, Rebecca.
As our values are very important to us, so we don't want them to be lost in the, profitability of PixSeat.
Yeah. And what would you say to investors who are, let's say, hesitant about funding a fund engagement tech, which is new?
Sure, it is new. I would say if it's not right for you, don't worry about it. It's okay. we're not begging anybody to participate. But I'll tell you what, this is going to be the future of large venue events. You can join in and participate, or you're going to miss out. This is a chance to redefine how people participate in social experiences. So whether we're talking about those corporate events or at theme parks or whatever, this is going to, let me put it like this. Going from 3G to 5G changed the way the internet works for everybody who's not sitting at home or in the office. Going from what we have today to PixSeat a year from now is going to be like that drastic of a change. It's going to fundamentally change the way people experience large events. And in fact, we've even got a party mode we're deploying that changes the way people experience small party events. So we'll be able to let you.
Well, like, will you marry me or gender reveal? That will be very fun when there's a participation of a lot of phones showing the blue or the pink or, holding up their phones and saying, will you marry me together collectively? So that's going to be fun. Also, our excitement and enthusiasm is shared. We actually participated in a large entrepreneurial think tank competition. There was 1,000 or 10,000 to begin with, and it was narrowed down to 100. We were selected. And then at that competition, we were voted most investable. So that's what we would tell potential investors. It's not just us that says that PixSeat will be successful. We have proof.
And taking your solution overseas, for instance, let's say in Europe, which kind of model you are looking for? Franchise option or?
So when we go into these large venues, we go in sort of a white glove experience with some of them. Some of them don't want that. Some of them want to bring PixSeat to their events. Some of them want their own brand and their own name only. So with any particular venue, they have the option of partnering with PixSeat or buying into a part of PixSeat, and then it's just their brand that gets presented. So everywhere that we go, that's an option for them to present. Then it's not this overseas company that's coming in and gathering our consumer data. It's we're partnering with other people.
Do you foresee PixSeat to be used during the next Summer Olympics in LA in 2028?
We have started some discussions there. If we can, and I can't say it's going to happen yet, but if we can, I think we can redefine what it's like to go to the Olympics. So I don't know if you got a chance to watch the recent Super Bowl during the here in the U.S. during the halftime. One of our competitors did a little bit of a show in the stands where you could see a countdown from 100, and then they presented some text across the audience. That was through mobile devices. It was a fairly basic presentation, and it only happened for about a minute, and then it went away. So it wasn't that engaging, but we're going to turn that into something that's a whole new level. We're going to make it so that if we can get into the Olympics, and yes, that is a major target of ours, I believe we can create a level of patriotism for every country represented in the Olympics. And as an American, I love seeing every country that succeeds. When I see an athlete win silver, gold, or any award, it makes me celebrate that athlete and that athlete's family and that athlete's country. because I love to see people win. So if we can create it so that everybody there is celebrating the win of the different countries that are up on the stand, I think that's a whole new level of celebration and stuff and fun.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So PixSeat, it's a platform that will boost fan experience, fan engagement within a contained environment, stadium, indoor or outdoor. Do you see your platform used in a large scale event, something like a marathon event or a Tour de France, the bicycle event, where by far beside maybe the Olympic Games and beside of the Super Bowl, because Super Bowl is one night, but the Tour de France is the biggest from an audience standpoint. It's one of the biggest events in the world. So do you see your platform could be used in this kind of environment?
Absolutely. I'll tell you, one of the challenges, the technical challenges that we're overcoming to be able to go to any event, regardless of the duration of the event or the type of the event, is the core function of PixSeat relies on us knowing where you are in the crowd. Without using GPS or triangulation, because both of those are battery hungry and invasive on your privacy. So right now in a stadium, we rely on knowing what is your seat ID, which section, row, and seat number are you. That tells us which pixel you are, so it's easy. We're working on some developments using that same Bluetooth low energy that allows us to identify where you are in a crowd, again, without knowing who you are or what is your precise GPS location. It's relative to the crowd, not relative to geospatial location. So, we want to be in every kind of event, and we want to be able to create that new level of fan experience where it's not invasive, but it's fun, and you get to carry a part of the event home with you. And that's really important.
The reason I asked you that, Bryant, and hear me out here, most of the time, and I see it with my kids, with my two teenagers, when we go on holiday, they are glued on their smartphone and they are checking exactly their classmates or friends where they are in the world. You know, and I ask the same stupid question. How do you know where is that person? And they said it's through a Snapchat, because we can see exactly where they are. So I'm trying to basically wrestle a little bit with the next 3, 4, 5 years from now. And we talk about these massive events that maybe the duration is 7 days, maybe it's more, like for example, Tour de France. It's a massive event with an international appeal, many spectators, either during the starting stage or the finish or in between and things like that. And people, they want to interact, they want to see where are their friends. And so that was the reason I asked that question. Or a marathon, for example.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, one of the things that we're building into PixSeat is find my friend and make a friend. So I'm looking for somebody I know within the crowd. Again, without using GPS, because we believe that's too personally invasive. Even though so many apps use it, Snapchat and others use it, we don't want to use that technology. We want to avoid that and keep privacy and protection better. So they're using other technologies to locate people within a crowd, and then to allow you to engage with people at the level you choose. So yeah, you'll be able to find your friends. You'll be able to know, hey, my friend is on the opposite side of the stadium, and I can even help identify them. So I can send my friend a signal that says, hey, help me find you. And when they hold up their device, a series of flashes of light on their screen, and my camera recognizes that and then zooms in on them. So we're looking at ways to find one another and still protect their privacy.
What does success looks like for PixSeat in the next 5 years?
That's something that we're still working on redefining on a regular basis. We want to be within 3 years, we'll be in 30 major venues. And then we want to become the ubiquitous solution for large venue events by 5 years. I don't believe there's any reason that we can't be the provider of choice for fan engagement, for fan entertainment, and for advertising engagement at every venue. And when I say advertising, I want to clarify, I'm not just talking about being slammed with ads all day, every day, or with pop-up ads. I'm also talking about if you're at a corporate event or a large church event, for the people administering that to send out messages to the crowd, whether it's synchronized messages or unique messages to each user, real time during the event. That's something that I think is going to, again, make the large crowd experience a whole different type of engagement.
Do you foresee integration with VR, AR, or other emerging technologies?
Absolutely. We're working on two things. One of them I can talk about, one of them I can't. We're still working on the patent on both of them, but we're working on two things that deal with virtual reality. But the short answer is yes, we will provide some VR for fans to watch either after the game or fans at home to see what that looked like, whether it was what's on the pitch or the field or what's in the stadium. And then also for creating without VR headsets, we're working on, and I can't go into too much detail on this, creating what looks like a augmented reality image in the middle of the field. I can't go into details on that yet, but we're working on that. So you'll be able to see stats or figures or people that look like giants in the middle.
Exciting time ahead, yeah. If you could see PixSeat in action in any major event, which one will it be?
I'm extremely biased here, and I don't know that bias is always bad. You can see from the picture behind me, I was named after Bryant. I'm an Alabama football fan, Alabama basketball fan. Yeah, that's the football
which
stadium there.
Which stadium is that?
Bryant Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. There's 101,000 seats there, I believe. It's I think it's the seventh largest in the U.S. Because I'm the biggest Bama fan there is, this is the place I want to go more than anywhere else. Now, I want to be in so many other places. And there are some, here in the southern parts of the United States, sports fans are a bit cultish about, they're a bit dogmatic about their fan engagement. So I might scare some people off when I say I'm a big Bama fan, but that's the number one place I want to go. But I'll tell you that we want to be at there are several NFL teams that we're engaging with right now. We want to be in, there are two different NBA teams we've initiated contact with. We want to be in the big pro soccer games. We want to be at the big concerts. Rebecca's talked about when people go to these Taylor Swift concerts. Imagine the crowd on their own being able to create a giant message that says, "We love you, Taylor." We're creating an experience, and we want to be everywhere that crowds can engage like that. And even around in the living room at home, if you've got a crowd of people over having a party at your house, we want to be able to create party game experiences where literally it's multiple devices are part of the game or part of the picture. So we're working on one, for example, called Pixel, where somebody uploads in the crowd uploads a picture, we create a puzzle out of it, and then everybody has to shuffle their clothes around on the table to put it back in order. And when you got two teams competing to put their picture together first, it's just another way to participate. But again, you're not staring down at your phone like this. You're face to face looking at each other and looking at each other. So it's fan engagement everywhere.
Yeah.
Another avenue is K-pop. K-pop is huge, and those fans are extremely dedicated. And so that's another venue that we're
It's beyond engagement. It's
it's dogmatic. And we want to be able to, right now at a K-pop concert, you buy these light sticks that light up, and they look really cool. But it's limited. It only works for while you're at the event, and they're pretty darn expensive. Sometimes they break, and it's you don't do anything. It lights up or it doesn't. So we're working on an adapter that taps onto your phone. Now your phone becomes a part of the light stick instead of it being a separate thing. And then we've got a whole different kind of engagement at the K-pop concerts. And that's when you say they're wild, we're gonna make it so they can do even more.
I want to see your solution in 3 major sporting events. I want to see it during the the official opening ceremony of the Summer Olympic Games, the Winter Olympic Games, and I will pick another sports, one of the Formula One Grand Prix. And I will say Las Vegas Grand Prix.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, if we could, I agree with you. If we could do the Grand Prix, if you can imagine when fans are holding up their phone and the first set of racers pass by, we're creating waves of light leading up to them coming, so it tells fans, hey, they're about to be here. And then also right after they pass. And we might even show who's in the lead or who's immediately behind them. So when you're participating at the Grand Prix, if we can do that, I think we can make that even more fun than it is without having to.
Yeah, the reason I am talking about Formula One, because what they've done the past 4 years with the TV experience, and especially the past 2 years, it's absolutely amazing. It's the only sporting event where you can literally, you cannot see the entire track. It's impossible, you know, and you cannot put big screens everywhere, in every corner, in every chicane. It's costly and it's almost impossible. But what they did through the device, through your phone, you can stream. You purchase a subscription, and I must say it's not expensive at all for the quality. But then the entire experience, beside of watching and listening to the commentary, so you can choose, you can pick and choose any team, any driver, any pilot, any car at any given time live, you know, and see the action. And it's amazing what they've done. Absolutely amazing. And I think comparing to any major sporting event, Formula One is, they are way ahead of anyone else, you know, and it works. And the result is, I'm not here for the listeners, I'm not promoting Formula One or in any case or shape, I'm just telling my experience as a crazy fan of Formula One since many years. But the experience I have the past couple of years is just explosive, put it this way. And I guess if you guys, you manage to convince Formula One to adopt your platform, it's going to be another game changer. So, yeah.
I agree. You know, I agree with you. I think adding to what they're already doing, and they do have a phenomenal fan engagement experience. They figured it out. They've overcome the hurdles. If we can add to that and make it so that you're a part of the race as well, that just makes it so much more fun, and it makes it so that, you know, a year from now or 10 years from now, going back and seeing that that view of you being a part of the race, that's just a new experience.
One small technical question in terms of privacy, data. Who controls the data? You have a full hands-on the data?
Right. I've been in technology long enough to know that no data is 100% secure. It's the nature of the beast that we work with, the data. So we're working on the front end and on the back end an architecture that protects the user's data and the user above all else. We're actually working on a feature in the app so that you can say, hey, if anybody captures video in the app of the crowd, I want my face blurred, and it will blur your face. So that might protect you if you took a day off from working you shouldn't have, but it also might protect you if you don't want your identity seen in a crowd, because we know what's on the internet is on there forever. So we're enabling tools like Web 3.0 where the data relative to your experience is stored on your device, not on your
absolutely.
servers.
You have full control.
We're doing, exactly. And you can choose to release that or not. And like I said before, when you first sign on to the app, or when you first download the app, you can choose if you want to sign on or not. Because you can go to a game, you can specify your seat, you can participate in the event, you can have all the fun in the world without ever signing in. Or you can sign in, and now you're what you've given up with that is who you are, but not everything about you. And that allows us to, again, protect your identity while also giving you rewards and more benefit for participating. And you don't have to have those benefits to participate. You can still do it without signing in.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification, Bryant. Yeah, I think it's time for our lightning round.
All right.
So,
Right.
let's do this. Favorite stadium you've ever been to?
There's no doubt in my mind it's Bryant Denny Stadium. But I've got to narrow it down. Bryant Denny Stadium in the 2016 Alabama LSU game. That with my best friend there with me. That was just so much fun.
And for you, Rebecca?
I have to say the same.
Okay.
Same
Go to
stadium.
game day snack. It's important.
It is. You know what? There's nothing like a baseball game hot dog. I went to a Red Sox game, and it was everything I expected it to be. With the ballpark hot dogs, they're just fantastic. I love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm nachos.
Nachos.
all the way.
Yeah, both options are great. Yeah. One song that gets you hyped before a big event.
It's usually him that hypes me up for game because he's the more enthusiastic fan.
Probably Freebird. I love Freebird. It's just it makes me feel like there's nothing stopping me in the world from anything we want to accomplish. So that's probably my favorite hype up
Great.
song.
Best sports events you've ever attended.
Sport events. That's a tough one, man. I know this is lightning round, but I've been to so many games. You know what? I got to go to a Daytona 500 race
Ooh,
when I was a kid with
that's
my
nice.
dad. And my dad and my brothers and my sister and my mom were all there. The noise was phenomenal. Like, I remember sitting there, right near the fence, and when the cars go by, it shakes your bones, you know? It's so deep, it's wild. I came away from that a changed kid. So I think that's probably
And
it.
at that time, the engines, they were what? V8 or V12?
I think they were V8
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for you, Rebecca?
Yeah.
At an Alabama game. I'm not as much of a sports fan as he is, so I'm gonna have to say an Alabama game would be the best that I've been to.
And my default's Alabama.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. What's the most challenging part of launching a startup?
Focus. There's so many things to do. I've got a long laundry list of things that I need to be working on, and making sure I'm focused on the right thing at the right time, and that so that I'm always working on the path to success, and not just everything that needs to get done. There's a lot of things that need to get done that can wait, or that they need to be put on the side while I focus on the most important thing. Not always look urgent. So focus, I think, is the hardest part of launching.
I think it's also because you're not an instant success, so you've got to work on your business while life continues. You
Yeah.
know, life doesn't stop. You know, so being a mom and having multiple roles, it's challenging.
Yeah.
Juggling it all.
And in that journey, from let's say an idea, making that idea possible, is it a lot of stress, a lot of question marks, a lot of or excitements, or a combination of of everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say a combination.
Yeah.
Because there's times when you're elated and you're excited, and there's times when you come up to a hurdle that you didn't anticipate, and that can be discouraging, but you just have to plow through.
Yeah. You know, I got to say this. Having my business partner be my best friend, be my wife, makes all the difference in the world, because the exciting moments, the challenging moments, the discouraging moments, the bewilderment moments, all of them are made better because I've got my best friend and my partner with me. So, yeah, there's some really tough times. When we learn about a competitor's capability, or when you learn about a challenge with a venue, or when you learn about a technical hurdle we've got to overcome that we didn't foresee, those are stressful moments. But they're all. I've been doing stressful things my whole career, so I'm okay with that. But doing them with my best friend and partner makes all the difference in the world.
Fantastic.
I wouldn't want to do this alone for sure.
Yeah. If you weren't working on PixSeat, what would you be doing?
You know, I'm a serial entrepreneur. This is my 5th startup, but I've got a list of things I want to work on, and one of the things that we're planning to do when we exit from PixSeat in 5 years is build some of those other things. So we're both fairly conservative. We're Christian. We're engaged in our community. So we would be involved in those things that help grow our community and grow our faith and grow our family. That's what we try to do with everything we do.
We have a passion for helping families, helping safety of children. Human trafficking is a huge issue in America, and it's in every single city.
It's
every
everywhere,
community,
even
every
here in
neighborhood.
Europe, Rebecca.
Yes.
It's a big issue.
Yeah.
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 Well, America is the largest consumer.
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
terrible.
it is terrible, and that's what we want to combat. We want to make some type of dent in that.
So, and a lot of my work in the intelligence community has given me some of the tools and methods to help fight that. So that's one of the things we're working on. And if PixSeat weren't here, if we weren't working on PixSeat, we'd probably be focused on that.
Fantastic. Who is your biggest inspiration in sports or business?
In sports, Bear Bryant is who I was named after, is my biggest inspiration. He was a coach and a leader in sports that put faith in the process and in the people rather than just focus on the win. And he took full accountability for every loss, but himself, not just put it on the team. I think that is phenomenal. I admire him. I think he's a good model for the kind of leader I want to be. He had his flaws that I don't want to replicate, but I really look up to who Bear Bryant was. So that's me.
Yeah, for business, I would say Zig Ziglar.
Yeah.
I really like his outlook. I love the positivity and just the combating negativity.
Yeah.
If you could have a dinner with a historical figure, who would it be and why?
I would say Ronald Reagan. I always wanted to sit down and just ask him some questions because I was young when he became president, and I just had so many things that just wondered about. So I would say Ronald Reagan.
I have for many, many years been a big fan of Benjamin Franklin. This is a man that reinvented himself regularly from childhood all the way through his career throughout his life. So Benjamin Franklin is someone that I would love to sit down with and ask so many questions and just learn about how he saw things and how he sees things now.
Yeah.
One piece of tech you can't live without.
My iPhone. I live on my phone. It is my brain. I'm on it day and night.
Yes, definitely. Because our calendar on our phone is vital.
Yeah.
We have so many different appointments and schedules that we have to manage, and so definitely the iPhone.
I think specifically the calendar is probably the most critical.
Yes, yes.
But I'll tell you, I have, over the past couple of years, gotten more and more into large language models like ChatGPT and Claude and Grok and others. I find them to be tremendously helpful. Just last night, I was using Claude to bounce some ideas about our investment strategy back and forth. And having instant access to an extremely wise and candid advisor like that has access to all the knowledge in the world, that's just huge. I love it. I use Chat and Claude probably more than most anybody I know.
Have you tried DeepSeek?
I have not tried it yet. I want to, but I just haven't had time yet.
And on that, Bryant, where do you see AI in 12 months? I will not say 5 years because we've seen it all.
Right, right. Well, so where I see AI in 12 months is still very much in flux, but becoming the standard for how we perform whatever work we're doing. So with every job that's done, we're going to start looking at, should I be using AI to help me do this better or faster, or should I be using AI to move the person out of the picture and have the AI doing the work itself? Whether that's AI, just the capabilities, the computing capabilities, or AI with robotics. I'm not in favor of unemploying anyone with AI, but rather making people more effective with AI in their job.
Yeah, yeah. And how was it in the US within the school system? Are they adopting AI, or they're lacking a little bit behind, or how was it?
I think what we're seeing here in the U.S. with schools is they are offended by it, and they're saying we don't want students using it. They perceive it as subjugating the learning process, and I disagree.
I think
with
it's
that.
a mistake.
So they're saying students don't use it. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Now, Rebecca and I homeschool and have always homeschooled our kids. So we have very different perspectives from parents that have their kids in school. But the school systems here in the U.S. largely right now are saying we don't want kids using AI because it competes with our learning process. And I just disagree.
We have our daughter, she knows how to use it, she's used it a lot, but she focuses on, a lot of editing of videos, and she pretty much teaches herself a lot of things.
Yeah.
So but she has used AI a good bit, and she enjoys it.
And she's 11 years old, and she's doing all kinds of video editing and animations and things like that.
I mean, you don't need to be scared of adopting AI. It makes you more efficient. Period.
Yeah. If I can tell a really brief story, I was working with an intelligence agency here in the United States, and I developed a system for this group, the Special Intelligence Group. They were excited about what we were doing. I showed them the first demonstration with live data, live case data on a threat they were dealing with. The team of about 12 people immediately turned to their director and said, "This is terrible, we're all going to lose our jobs." And he said, "No, this is great. All of you are going to be able to do 10 times more than you were able to do before." So it's a perspective. Don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. I would say you're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose your job to somebody who uses AI.
Yeah. Okay. Dream sports team to work with.
Oh, gosh. Obviously, I love Alabama, and I want that more than anything. But for us to be able to participate in the Olympics would just be a huge experience for us. Would be something that would be a career-defining experience.
I agree, the Olympics would be.
Yeah, that would be epic.
Yeah, it would.
The worst career advice you ever gotten.
Oh, here we go. I've heard so many people say this, and I think it's terrible. People say, "Don't do anything that you're not assigned to do, or you're just going to get assigned more." And I say that is horrible advice. Do everything you're supposed to do, and then do everything else that you can. And if it means you're given more challenges and more opportunities, that's growth. That's good. And if you're not compensated for that, that's okay. You're still learning, and you're going to be able to do more later. So the whole idea of only do what you get paid to do is just self-defeating. It doesn't hurt anybody but you.
Yeah, I've never operated like that. My parents were entrepreneurs, and I worked in their businesses a lot. And so when I began to work at a very young age, I just adopted like the business was like it was mine. So I would do whatever possible to make it better, and eventually I would work my way up to whatever position I wanted to be at because I invested myself into that business. So I agree.
Okay. Morning person or night owl?
I'm definitely a morning person.
It depends. It depends. A lot of it depends on how well I sleep at night. So sometimes I can be a morning person.
Which can be a
but then
challenge sometimes.
Yes, it can.
I'm a morning person, and by late afternoon, I can fall asleep standing up.
Yeah.
That's true.
Coffee or tea?
Either. I love coffee and I love tea.
And I don't like either one.
What's a hobby or interest you have that might surprise people?
Minecraft.
Minecraft. Okay.
Because our 11-year-old, she delights in taking us into Minecraft and put us in situations where we die over and over again. So that's our hobby is Minecraft.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's always challenging and fun. And she asks me regularly, "What's your favorite thing about Minecraft?" And my answer is always, "It's completely different every time you play it." So I enjoy that.
And we get to do it with her, so that's what makes it fun.
What's one thing you do to unwind after a long day or a long week?
Just spending time with our family.
Yeah.
Family time is so important to us. So just being with our children. Yeah.
And we don't do it often enough. We don't do it well enough. But scripture study and prayer together always helps us unwind.
And on that, my last question, if you have to give an advice to our listeners or a piece of wisdom, because you spoke about faith or any topic.
Seek the Lord first in all things. That is what I live by. I try to live by it. I fail daily, but my best advice would to be to somebody to seek the Lord first in all things. I have a lot of times, come across people that don't believe and they have a different perspective, and I'm fine with that. I respect their opinion, but I believe that the Lord is first in all things.
I think that's great advice. Just to not be repetitive, I'll say the bit of advice I've given to each of my children and to so many other people is find someone to serve. It doesn't matter what it's about or why or how, find someone to serve. You will be happier, you'll be less focused on any problems you have, you'll be more productive, you'll be more effective, you'll be more liked. I think the best advice I'd give anybody is find someone to serve.
Mm-hmm. Rebecca and Bryant Haines, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us. We enjoyed it very much.
And before we conclude, can you tell our listeners where they can contact you, learn more about your work, or connect with you online?
Sure. We're at PixSeat.com, PixSeat.com, and we're on most social media as well as PixSeat. So look us up, find us, and we'll be in the app stores, both app stores, in the very near future as well.
And to our listeners, I leave you with some words from Steve Jobs. Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. And from that, we've heard today. PixSeat is leading the charge in transforming live events experiences. Thank you for tuning in to the Pre-Zero Sports Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, we have more for you now. You can watch the entire episode on our YouTube and Spotify channels. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to our show. And please do us a favor, hit follow and tap the bell. That bell is really important so you never miss an episode. We strive to bring you stories that inspire, challenge, and motivate. We appreciate your support. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and make a difference. Let's see you soon. Bye-bye.